Hi, welcome back. It's Laura at Hyperstamper. This junk journal is obviously made for my American friends. This is a 1940s book, so almost 80 years old, and it's our own United States, done by Southworth. And it's got a beautiful spine, super big spine. I wasn't sure if I could fill it all, but holy cow, I actually had to stop putting things in it because it was too thick, because I have a huge American ephemera folder. And I added some red, white, and blue ribbons here, and I did add these two tiny little pieces of red cardstock to the corners to bring it all together. That's the only thing in this entire junk journal that is not authentic, antique, and vintage ephemera. These two little pieces, so forgive me for that. But let me show you the inside before I put it in my Etsy shop, hyperstamper.etsy.com. You'll get it nice and quick, and there's no tariffs on my products. So here we go. The very first page here is the Capitol building at night. It's a lovely 1920s photograph, or sorry, nope, 1940s photograph. This is the 1920s one. Look at this, isn't that amazing? Baseball, can't get more American than baseball, right? So here we go. Put that back in its little pocket. And here is from the 1920s, the 4th of July, a little poem here. And then in here, this is really awesome, is the Star Spangled Banner. This is from the very early 1900s. It's a little brittle, but I think it's pretty awesome. Hooray for the red, white, and blue, the dear old banner. So a really special antique music piece there. And I think there's another one inside that you're going to enjoy. Hold on. This is the original first plate of this book, the only color plate in the book, but look at how beautiful that is. And then this is the original first piece and the 1948 copyright date there. This is a beautiful vintage botanical piece. And inside here, I've got a souvenir booklet. This is from the 50s or 60s. I had a hard time putting a date on it because they just kept publishing it over and over and over again. So this would be what's called a souvenir booklet. They're not postcards. Instead of taking photographs, or if you didn't have a colored camera back then, you could certainly take this. But look at these awesome, this is what makes me think it's 50s. Look at those bathing suits. Those are fantastic. So I just think that's a really fun piece. And that is from the Gulf Coast of Florida. Cool, eh? Yes. That was from 1940s, How to Raise Your Kids, the Carefree Years. Are there any, really? So here we go here. There is a very old map of the United States and Canada and Mexico. And then this is a beautiful piece here. Look at that, the early surfing there, which I'm guessing may be Hawaii. And then this is a really fun piece from another children's history book, English Colonies Became a Nation. So there we go, the government for the new nation, and then children in a democracy. Children work together with leaders that they choose. How sweet is that? I love it. A little history book from days gone by. This is very old. This is from the early 1900s from a game called The Lost Heir. I don't know how they would have played this, but maybe the cards were this way and they flipped them over. But there you go, that's the Boston card. And then in this pocket, look at this gorgeous nighttime New Jersey Ocean City postcard. Look at that beautiful outdoor pool. Isn't that great? And that is from 1942, during the war. And then up here, you can see that famous bridge in the background there. Look at how great that is. And this is from a very old magazine, advertising fudge. Yum. Shouldn't have looked at that. But yeah, I love that. That is from the 50s. Really fabulous. Okay, and then over here we've got these game cards, which were American Flinch cards. And then this here is Benjamin Franklin at the French court. And this is really cool. This is a 1940s embroidery transfer. This probably would have been for towels for a gentleman. And look at that. So you would have transferred that onto the towel and then embroidered around it. We've got the 1908 Chevy and the 1911 Model T Ford, both American cars. So I thought that was pretty cool. I've had this in my collection for so long. I thought, what am I going to do with these ones with cars? And then I just found something. Very excited to be able to include this. And over here, we've got this antique plate here. And this is a Wildflowers of America vintage piece from the 60s. But look at these beautiful, beautiful flowers. And I love that it shows where in America they are from. Those are from the West Coast. And this here as well is a beautiful botanical page. This is quite old as well. This is actually from the 1930s, but the artwork is amazing and the feel of the paper is beautiful. I wish you could feel it. And this really fun little antique book page here that I wrapped around, and it's got this little eagle carrying an American flag. It's pretty sweet. Here is a very old envelope, 1904 postage date, American stamp there, and this was to Tuskilwa, Illinois. I'm sorry if I have pronounced that wrong. And then over here it was from Minnesota. So this isn't what goes in here, but it fit in there. And this is another one of these amazing souvenir cards. It's the only one I have like it, the birthplace of Old Glory. Isn't that wonderful, from Philadelphia? And then here is the Independence Hall. I love them, so they belong in here. Handwritten thesis page from, I want to say Buffalo, but it might be Rochester. Beautiful 1890s book page here. And then this is a really cool advertisement here for Colgate. Look at that. Isn't that wonderful? So very cool advertisements there. Just fun American magazine there. And then up here, I love this, a 1950s Betty Crocker recipe book page. Look at that page, was open a lot. Look at all the stains on there. And of course, for an American junk drawer, you have to have perfect apple pie. So you got baseball, you got apple pie, we've got history in here. This was really fun for me to open up my American folder and put this all together. A little tea party here. This came from a 1950s children's stamp collection book, and we've got this one here which says Illinois 1955. This is a USA label that would have been inside of a product that is vintage as well. A beautiful thing, antique book page. And then this is the American Falls on that side. That is the Canadian Falls back there. So our two countries together. And then the back was never used. So it's a really beautiful, beautiful postcard from the 40s. And then up here, I've got another wonderful page from this book. And that is, of course, General Washington, later to be President Washington. And over here, look at this. Isn't that great? This is from that wonderful vintage maps, road maps that I've been using for years. And that is the first page of it. Seeing USA Through Maps, 1955. And this is just from a 1920s book. I just thought it was really cute, representing all the farmers. And then this one here is from this book as well, the Federal Troops Drilling. There's so much history here. Butterick's Pattern here, their sewing book. And then this is from Southwest, 1960s book. And we've got these beautiful Western canyons, gorgeous, and national parks. This is a vintage postcard, not that old, but still kind of interesting. The Lincoln Memorial. And hold on, let me put that back in its home. Just a very old playing card that you can upcycle. And this here is a very old banknote, very, very old, and it is from the Delaware, Lackawanna, and Western Railroad Company. How cool is that? Botanical page from 1904. Battle Hymn of the Republic. That is really cool. Da 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 da. So that was yeah. There you go. That's my song of the day. Patriotic Days. There's another Star Spangled Banner, but I liked it. A little different layout. About 70 years old. The other previous one was over 100 years old, so I just think that's really cool. Oh, and on the other side, you get a bonus. You get the 12 Days of Christmas. Yep. And this, I think you really like. I did. Thought this was really neat. It's got this beautiful picture here, of course, Washington, D.C. How are we governed? And then, boom, look at that. Presidents. I just think that's really cool. Right? And because this is a very old book from the 40s, it doesn't go to modern day, of course. This is an American coupon that my friend Paige sent me, Milmar Foods, for 5 cents. And this is an American map here, with a little toad on it, and that is your journaling tag. I made this new pocket design here. I'm really kind of psyched about that. And here is a New York postcard, and that one is also from the 1920s. There. And over here, I just have these really pretty little houses, little mouse looking at the little houses for rent. I just thought it was really sweet. Another botanical page from 1904, children's, this is an American book here. Pretty little children's book pages, 1937 bookkeeping page, and this is Birds of America from a vintage book from the 50s here. Here's another journaling tag. That's also another map there. Fun. A little snowball fight here, and tropical plants there, which I love that. And this here came out of a 1950s students workbook. We've got Flag Day and Arbor Day there. That's just a really cool doily picture from the 50s. And here we go. That is your Supreme Court and the room in which it meets. So I'm sure none of those guys are around anymore. Very different now, but a really cool little piece of history. Speaking of which, this is a very cool piece of history. Remember, this book was published right after World War II. So this is headlines in the New York's 44 newspapers of the time on the day which brought the news of the Great War in 1914. Look at how cool that is. So there's not a lot of World War II things in this book because it was probably in publication planning before the war ended. This is actually a French page, our allies during World War II. And then this here is a beautiful scene in the countryside, the roadside in July. Better than play. Now this is cool. This is me and Joan, so that's her and Joan, at Cornell University. And this is from the 1920s. That's just awesome. And over here, this is a couple on their honeymoon, and they were going through Chicago. So I don't know where those boats would have been. I tried to look it up, but I couldn't find it. And I Google searched this, but it didn't give me the exact match. So if you know where it is, leave me a comment below. Isn't that cool? That is somewhere on the east coast of America. And Tennessee Avenue, another American place. This is a 70-year-old Monopoly card. More American book pages here. This is from a Betty Crocker cookbook from 1955. And this is the candy section. One of my favorites when I was a kid. I'd go straight to my mom's cookbooks and look at the candies and cakes. Because who wants to look at vegetables when you're a kid? And here is a 1950s teen magazine, American teen magazine. We've got lots of really cool, look at that. There's John Wayne and some advertisements that you might remember. And down here, of course, we've got the American fast food. We've got a burger, a shake, and fries, right? That just screams 1950s. And then this, of course, is the Bunker Hill Monument. And that brings us almost to the end. We've got, oh, there's, it says an early automobile Americans have taken to the open roads. And then this here is President Lincoln. And I've got antique paper on the back of that as well. And that brings us to the end. So I hope you love it as much as I loved making it. I know you've got Thanksgiving coming up, so happy Thanksgiving to all of my American friends. Come back soon, subscribe, leave me a comment, and visit my Etsy shop, hyperstamper.etsy.com. Bye for now.